people. We're back. Welcome back to 12th Man. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to this show. Rival Talk is back. We've got myself, we've got Dor, we've got Rich, we've got Sam, we've got Dave. And do you know what? It's been too long. I love this show. One of my favorite shows of the week because I get to hear how you guys are feeling about your respective clubs, who you obviously represent so well. And before we do that, make sure you hit the like button, people. Make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you check out the last show. I had a great panel debate earlier where Hooks and George were just going at it, man. If you want an Arsenal-Tottenham podcast, that's the one for you because it was to and fro. A couple of things before we do start. Please do check out our sponsors of the channel, Reality Raffles. If you're not sponsoring them already, please make sure you go follow them. Please make sure you are on their socials. 99 pence a raffle ticket for Friday's draw, which is tomorrow night. So please make sure you're in for it, people. Use the code FTM10. You'll get 10% off to win a £500 football match day experience of your choice. It could be the Emirates, it could be Anfield, it could be the Etihad. You are the one who decides. But please, if you do win, let me know, because it'd be great to know that there's a potential viewer or listener here that has the opportunity to go and get a chance to go to see a football game. And if you do pick the Emirates, let me know and I'll meet you there. Please also make sure you scan the QR code. There is a link in the description as well. If you're not attending or haven't said you're attending so far, please make sure that you do. This is London. We'll be live at the Hippodrome Casino on Friday, the 24th of January. Please make sure you get your tickets, people. Looking forward to meeting as many people as possible here. Be great to meet you in person. There's so much that is on show. We've got prizes galore. We've got a Q&A section. We've got a live panel. We've got a debate show. We've also got Sophie Nicolau from Highbury Squad. Lee Judges will be in the house as well. Myself and the panel of This is London. So please make sure that you scan the QR code and we will see you there. Listen, people, we got to talk about Nottingham Forest being in a title race, ain't we? Thor, you were there.
Am I allowed? Wait, Dan, am I allowed to say we're in a title chase, or am I going to get told off?
Well, Dave will probably tell you off because he doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? But I think
Dave, wait, Dave. Am I allowed, Dave? Am I allowed?
You say what you want, mate. We don't come as a pair. We're not married, are we? We're not, in some kind of like clandestine relationship. You go for it, mate.
I'm in a relationship with you, Dave. You're my way day buddy, my friend. So.
Listen, Dora, I said yesterday I was with obviously TNT. I got a little section on again with Crouchy, and I said it, and he didn't go, "What, Forest, really?" So come on, man. Like, have some faith, have some chest now. There's 21 games in. You're looking good. You're right up there with us and Liverpool. I don't think the others are being spoken about now. So when people are saying that Chelsea aren't and City aren't and Forest might be, I mean, wow. First of all, that's a dream. And second of all, could you go all the way? One game a week with this team, who, by the way, I will say, I watched the whole game against Liverpool. And I've got to say, as an Arsenal fan, I think you two are the closest to the title the way you're both playing. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I don't want to say this because Dan's got no chest for Arsenal. I don't think we're going to win the league. And I didn't think we were going to do that before a ball was kicked. But I can tell you this now. You are right up there with how drilled you are, how you are tactically. Nuno has got you balling out. And it's very, very hard to play against. And the thing I will say about Forest, right, before you come indoor, I actually do think you've got a squad because the players you're bringing on, Taiwo Awoniyi, James Ward-Prowse, Dominguez, these guys are coming on and I'm thinking, actually, that's a good squad. Jota or so. So I'm thinking, you've actually got players here, man. This isn't like a 12-man squad. So look, I don't think you're going to win the league. I think Liverpool are going to. But I think you're in the title race, Dor. Come on.
You know what it is like? We had a conversation a long time ago about, especially the players coming off the bench, like with Taiwo, even Jota Silva, Souza, Ward-Prowse, them kind of players. It's so good to see, like, if one of the players who are injured, I'm thinking, who's coming off the bench? It's good to see now, Dan. And then the result on against Liverpool was fantastic because Liverpool absolutely battered the second half. But as you said, Dan, our defensive was fantastic. Muller and Mitrovic doing the job. Yes, maybe their goal could have done better, but all around and Sells again. I think everyone keep talking about Sells. Fantastic. I think he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. And I would say that to my Forest fan.
Facts. This season, definitely.
And I joke around about are we in the race for a title? Yes. I don't know. We need Liverpool to suffer, don't we? If we need Forest, Arsenal, all the other teams around, like even Bournemouth, like Newcastle teams, just catch them. But listen, I said that much on my podcast. We definitely can get a top 4. That would be pushing it. I don't care if it's European football, Europa Conference or Champions League. It's a bonus for me, a massive bonus. But the way we played against Liverpool and kept it to 1 goal against them, I think, listen, people have noticed us now. Yes, we got the 7 wins in a row in the Premier League or 6 or whatever it was. But now people are taking us seriously. And now Forest are a big team now because Chris Wood. What can I say about Chris Wood? He's going for fun. And his contract runs at the end of the season, but he's not fixed about contract this, contract that. He's focused on scoring goals and getting Forest into, I'd say, top 8, but I'm going to say top 4. Get my chest out there and say top 4 because I feel the run that we've been on, like, it's still a dream. Is it really happening? Dave can talk more about it, but it's just, I'm proud to be a Forest fan because we've had down days. We've had horrible days. And this is no disrespect to Steve Cooper. Oh, I love the guy to bits. But Nuno has pushed us to the next level. And if we can carry on doing this, I believe, I said Liverpool needs to need to find a rough patch somewhere. I don't know how, but if we can carry on doing what we're doing, I believe that we can get top 4. Not the Premier League, but the top 4. Title contender.
I'm not going to lie. I was speaking earlier to judges. Dave, I'll throw this to you, right? I was speaking earlier to judges, and do you know what? I've done so many streams the last couple of days. Can't remember. I was on another show as well. And we were talking about Forest, and we were talking about the year that West Ham were like top 4 for ages under Moyes, and it just looked like, wow, they're going to do it. And then they ended up getting Conference League, I think. And then they obviously next season went on to win it, right? And I said at the end of that conversation, I said, Forest to take Conference League, I'm sure. I mean, like the start of the season, you told me you wanted 17th. Now, the expectations, of course, change. And right now, if I said to you 7th, you might sit there and think, oh, actually, I still fancy we could do better than that. And I'd appreciate that you probably would think that, right? But I'll say this. Last night, we were watching an unbelievable performance individually from Gabriel at Arsenal. He was phenomenal last night. Absolute monster, right? But I think, honestly, Liverpool and Arsenal have got a good back pairing in Konate and Van Dijk, Gabriel and Saliba. I watched Murillo and Milenkovic the other night, and I've seen them both now, obviously, a few times. They are so good, man. They complement each other. That Murillo is a beast, by the way. He's an absolute baller. But Milenkovic is just unbelievable. I'm looking at that partnership, and I think if he was to do anything unthinkable, whether it was the unthinkable of a title, whether it was you get top 4, even if you get Europe, that pairing is going to be pivotal, mate, for what you do. They are superb, man.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I mean, for me, being of a certain vintage, and vintage is the right word for me. I remember the great side of the 77, 78, 79, 80. And I saw an interview with Clough, and the great one, he said, we signed Shilton and we took off. And Brian Moore said to him, he won you the league, did he? And Clough, he went, him and the back 4, because all good sides are built on clean sheets, right? And what Forest are doing at the moment, and especially built on them too, and they are just, they take my breath away every time I watch them play. Just when you think they can't get any more resilient and classy in what they do, they go to another level. I mean, I'm slightly worried about buildings up because we could fall flat on our faces on Sunday against Southampton, but let's just put that to one side a minute. The other night, I mean, we're up against currently the best team in England and the best team in Europe. And the great joy of Tuesday night, not only was the incredible atmosphere in the City Ground, which was just beyond febrile, it was just wonderful, was the fact that the game had sort of, through Forest, not through Liverpool, because Liverpool are doing Liverpool-y things like they've been doing for several seasons. But the fact that this team that has basically spent last season 17th, looking over its shoulder at Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton Town, and for basically 25 years, a quarter of a century before that, had not been anywhere near this kind of occasion, had turned that into a big fixture. My slight apprehension going into the game on Tuesday night was that would Forest live up to the kind of preamble that they created for this football match? And they did. And I came out and I just could not be more proud. I actually had tears in my eyes. I love my football club so much, like you would not believe. But it took me to another level on Tuesday night. To be in a game of that magnitude and to be on an equal footing with the best team in England and the best team in Europe, and to conduct themselves in the way they did, the bravery, the ruthlessness when required. They are a wonderful team, Forest, at the moment. It's the best Forest team for decades, right? And I look at all of them, and they're likable. They're decent human beings. They work hard for each other. They play like a family. I've been saying it ever since the brawl against Chelsea, where we're worth £1 billion. Yeah, so what? But if you pick on Nico Williams, you pick on all of us, right? They've been playing like that. Nuno has fostered something. It's a social experiment, right? Bringing human beings together to work together, work hard for a common purpose. Nuno takes some beating with what he's doing at the moment. It reminds me of what Ranieri did in 2016, which I thought was equally wonderful, But what Nuno's got, he's got people who are prepared to go that extra distance for each other. Now, Liverpool came on Tuesday night, and the way I looked at it was Liverpool were taking on one of the 3 happiest clubs in the country. I think we're the happiest club in the country because we're like in hog heaven, in bonus territory. We're the only team in this league.
In Europe, Dave. In Europe, I'll say.
Let me finish. At the moment, we are experiencing something that none of us, certainly I didn't see it happening. I think Newcastle are really happy. They're going well, playing well. And I think AFC Bournemouth are the other team. I think there's 3 of us, 3 standout teams, pound for pound, right? Now Liverpool came the other night, and I was totally relaxed about Tuesday night because I looked at my team and I thought they're a family. They'd shown what kind of a family were. They made 11 changes against Luton in the FA Cup, and they won comfortably, and they played some really good football. And the 11 who'd not been getting regular game time all came and gave that absolute all. There was no sulking. Well, why should I bother? I've not been getting any minutes, which you can get in a group of young men. That didn't happen, right? Tuesday night, when I looked at Liverpool, I thought, I couldn't get out of my head Trent against Manchester United. I felt so sorry for him. Trent was having a bad day. His 10 brothers left him to it. Not one of them went and helped him. Mo didn't run back. Ryan Gravenberch didn't go and help him. Alexis McAllister didn't go and help him. It was almost like, well, you talk to Real Madrid, we're not bothering with you anymore. What kind of a family's that? And I thought on Tuesday night, from a psychological point of view, Forest are stronger than Liverpool. And after 180 minutes of really competitive, tight football, Liverpool have got 1 point and we've got 4. So at the end of this season, I personally believe Liverpool will be champions. They've got a gap, they've got a buffer, and they've got an away game in hand at Everton, who they will beat, right? So I think Liverpool are still pretty much home and dry in the league. It'll take them to drop off a cliff. I don't see it happening. But when they get to the end of the season, if they are champions of England and champions of Europe, me and Dor and our compatriots can say, you didn't beat us, did you? And I just loved Tuesday night. I thought it was one of the most wonderful football matches I've ever been to. Atmosphere, a proper old English ground, in an amazing setting. Liverpool fans, they contributed to a great atmosphere. Our lot were fantastic. And it felt like a proper heavyweight clash. I mean, in terms of the game, Liverpool had 3 shots in the first 7 minutes. You thought, here we go. Here comes the bombardment. Next minute, they're a goal down. And Liverpool were all looking around at each other going, blimey, maybe we did underestimate these. We shouldn't have done because they lost to us earlier in the season. And then we were the better side first half. I thought from the Diogo Jota, Costa Simicas substitution onwards, Liverpool were by far the better team. But you know what Forest are doing at the moment? Forest are going in a different direction to everybody else in football. Everybody else in football is obsessed with possession. We want a style of football. I hear Tottenham fans, all they want is they want entertaining football. Are you not entertained? Well, try keeping them out the back of the net. Arsenal want this, that, and the other. Chelsea want this, that, and the other. Forest are saying, you know what? And they're repeating the Clough mantra. Keeping them out is as important as putting them in. And Forest are striking the balance at the moment. Brian Clough would love what they were doing. He'd look at Milenkovic and see Larry Lloyd. He'd look at Murillo and see Kenny Burns. Although I'm not sure Kenny Burns would shoot from the halfway line, having beaten Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is an amazing piece of football. He'd see Viv Anderson in Ola Aina. He'd see John McGovern in Nico Dominguez and Ryan Yates. He'd say a little bit of Shilton in Matt Sells. 5 million from Strasbourg, for hell's sake. and the saves he made were wonderful. And Tuesday night was just whatever happens the rest of the season. And I think already, when the dust settles, I know we're guaranteed a successful season because we cannot help but have progressed from last season, right? So I thought Tuesday night was just immense. It could easily have gone wrong. It could have been we're Liverpool, we're asserting our dominance now. Normal services resumed. But the thing is with Forest, they forced their way into these conversations that the mass media, who only want to talk about 6 teams, are having to kind of research and actually go and read and discover about another team, like they had to do with Aston Villa last year, like they've had to do with Brighton in recent years. Brentford. They're having to do it about AFC Bournemouth now. There are more than 6 teams in this country, and these clubs, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Forest, Brighton, Brentford, Palace are on a good run at the moment, are saying, hey, what about us? And Forest is sort of in the vanguard of that at the moment, and I never saw it coming. So it's just immense pride at the moment. But the best thing that I heard said on Tuesday night, when he was asked, he said, about the league and all this kind of stuff, and he went, no, all that matters is Southampton next Sunday afternoon, and that gives me a good feeling that there's no, complacency. So it's wonderful at the moment. Personally, I think we're, I won't say we're in the race for the titles. I just think Liverpool have got that gap. But I came out Tuesday night, and for the first time, I thought to myself, maybe a Champions League spot is achievable, because I actually thought to myself, and this is no disrespect to any of the others, certainly not Newcastle and Bournemouth, who I think are fantastic. I love both of those teams. I could watch them until the cows come home, honestly. But I actually felt like it was a match on Tuesday night between the 2 best teams in the country right at this minute. It might not be the case in a month or 2 months, but I thought right at that minute, and Forest sort of said to everybody, and millions watched it, we are not just a little bit of a flash in the pan. We're here on merit. And that sort of honest projection of themselves that Forest gave, I just thought was wonderful, and I am absolutely still buzzing off it. It's fabulous.
Spot on.
Yeah,
dude.
listen, I'm absolutely I totally get it, and I get why, and you should be buzzing. It's class at the moment watching, and I think when you look at what Nuno was doing at Wolves, you were talking about the kind of similarities with the old Forest players. I actually look at the similarities of the Wolves team that Nuno had, and I think there's no coincidence to me that Matt Doherty was one of the best right backs in the league at the time, and now Ola Aina is. Ola Aina, and then you look at what they had Ruben Neves and Moutinho in the middle. You've now got Elliot Anderson, who, by the way, is a player. I can't believe Newcastle get rid of him. He's a baller, man. So look, I see some of the similarities. You got Chris Wood. They had Raul Jimenez at the time. I look at it similarly, and I think, do you know what? There's actually a lot of similarities, and it does make me smile that Spurs are now looking at their situation, thinking,
Dan, can I ask a question? Right now,
what are we doing?
Do you feel Forest right now are better than Spurs on the pitch?
100%. Not even close.
Okay,
by far, bro. By far.
The phrase I have to use, and I've watched quite a lot of Tottenham Hotspur YouTube content recently, although I got to the point where I could just take no more because most of it is adolescent and childish. We want attacking football. They want to win 4-0 every week. Nottingham Forest is sort of celebrating a clean sheet. If Nottingham Forest were dressed in Tottenham kit, Tottenham's fan base would hate Forest, even though Forest are sort of second or third. Oh, we can't get rid of Murillo and Milenkovic. We don't want all that. We just want forwards. We want to be playing FIFA type football, right? The thing about Forest is, and again, I'm spreading it a bit further. It's the same with Newcastle United. It's the same with AFC Bournemouth. Who are suffering a really bad injury crisis, but are still playing great football, right? These 3 teams, more than any of the others, are the ones who are greater than the sum of their parts. That's the way I look at those 3 teams at the moment. My 3 happy teams. Palace are going that way. I watched Palace the other night against Leicester. They're heading that way.
Rich.
Do you know what I mean? And there are others that are trying to do it. Villa, on their day, are more than some of their parts. Man for man, when all the squads are fully fit, I think Tottenham have what you would assume to be more talented players than Nottingham Forest. But life and football don't always just go on labels. They go on what you see in reality. And at the moment, I think Ange's a great bloke. I actually think Ange's the wrong bloke in the wrong place. I think it's unmanageable, Tottenham, because you've got
It
half the
is.
fan base.
They've tried everything, Dave. They've tried Nuno.
Honestly,
They've tried
yeah,
they've tried the project manager in Poch. They've tried the win now manager in Jose.
yeah,
They've tried the CV
Conte.
of Conte. It's a
yeah.
joke, man. This club are
Yeah,
just jinxed, and I love it.
they'll they'll change their manager, and then they'll all come back in a year's time and have the same conversations, right? You know, you look at Bournemouth, what Andoni Iraola's done. I mean, it's just an amazing job. Eddie has regained his mojo at Newcastle, right? Unai Emery at Villa. There are some fantastic managers in this league. Nuno the same, you know. I mean, Arne Slot is doing fantastic things, because to have to follow Jurgen Klopp is really, really difficult. But it's about it. Forest are a family. That's the greatest compliment I can pay them, right? And if anyone drops out, next man up, and they're all supporting each other. Bournemouth do it, Newcastle do it, Tottenham don't do it. I'm seeing, Dom's gone there, and I kind of look at Dom and think, you know what, mate, you should have stayed at Bournemouth. You'd have been better off there. You know what I mean? So we are, at the moment, I never thought I'd say this, but we're a blueprint of how to go about it, how to know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. More than anything, keep your feet on the ground and compete, right? And that's why I'm so proud. Next season, it might be different. But right this minute, January the 16th, 7:15, whatever, I'm loving every inch of it.
No, big up to you, man. I totally agree. Just before we move on, Dor, I wanted to ask you, you've obviously got 17 games left. Your fixtures, I know you shouldn't look too far ahead. You just got to take a game at a time, and everyone says that answer. But what are they looking like in terms of, have you got a period where you believe they're easier, harder, or is it just quite mixed?
Listen, every game's different, Dan. Every game's different.
Yeah.
Like we've got Southampton at the bottom of the league, and everyone assumes that we're going to be in 5 or 4-0, blah blah blah. But they want.
They're coming with nothing to lose.
They got nothing to lose. Sorry, Dan, Dave. But what I'm trying to say, every game is going to be different. Like I said, these next set of games are still tough. They've got Southampton, and then we've got a massive game away at Bournemouth.
We never beat.
Well, we will never beat. And
just put a smile on Sam's face there.
And we're going to we beat Brentford. We never went there. We beat them. Went to Man U. We beat them. Went to Everton. We beat them. But Bournemouth, like I said, we never beat Bournemouth away. Yes, they haven't got the two main strikers, but it's still going to be a tough game. And I'm saying to Sam, I want Bournemouth to break that gap in top 8. Like you got Bournemouth, got Brighton, Newcastle, Villa. You can mention them as well. But for us, every game's different. And Southampton, I want to focus on Southampton, and maybe if we can, I want to go to Europe, Dan. I know you've been to Europe, Dan, but if we get European football, if it's conference, I'll be buzzing. If we get Europa, I'll still be buzzing. But if we get Champions League,
of course.
Listen.
Well, I look at this, right? You got Craven. This is 15th of February onwards. Craven Cottage, St James's Park, Arsenal and City at home, and then you've got Portman Road, which ain't easy, by the way.
No.
And then you've got Man United and Villa. That is between the 15th of Feb and the 5th of April. We'll know where Forest are going to be. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, Dan? Actually, and in sort of setting that out in the sequence of it. I mean, I felt at the start of this season, and I had this conversation with Sam. Actually, we did a preview before our first game of the season against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And I remember Sam asking me the question about the fixture list, right? When it came out. Now, last year, our opening away games were Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester City, with Sheffield United and Burnley at home squeezed in between. And that was like a monumental start away from home. I felt this year that the fixtures in terms of, clusters of the big guns were evenly spread out. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's a month of death, if you like, or a week of death, whatever. What I would say is, Nuno, he's basically drilled this ethos into the club where, let's not run before we can walk. Let's just go to the next obstacle, treat that on its merit, which is what he'll do with Southampton. They'll have nothing to lose. They'll come and give it a whirl, I'm sure. Tyler Diblin is a hell of a player. He needs to be watched, right? So there's a lot about Southampton. He can't take anybody lightly, and Nuno never does that, right? But if you're looking for the pointer I'm getting is we lost to City, we lost to Arsenal and City, and deservedly. We weren't good enough on either of those occasions. Arsenal outclassed us. City did as well on that Wednesday night. And then we looked at the fixtures following the City game, and they looked like really monumental. And Forest won all of them. They beat United for the first time in 30 years, right? They beat a Champions League standard side, Villa, from a goal down and with a goal disallowed, which took some doing, right? Then it's apparently invincible at home Brentford. That was ticked off. Then it was Tottenham at home, who we've never beaten since we've been promoted. Wolves, who we've never, Everton, who we've not beaten since we've been promoted. That was done at Goodison. And then Wolves, who've been, apart from the Carabao Cup, been, a team we haven't beaten since we promoted. That was ticked off. So you kind of look at that and think, well, if you could do that, if I'm Nuno, I'm saying to him, you lads, bless you, all of you, thank you so much. You've done this wonderful work between the Manchester City game and now. Let's either right to expect it to continue. It probably won't. There'll be a defeat somewhere, I'm sure. But the thing is, they seem, our lot, it's as if Nuno's got the whiteboard in the dressing room and he's got what they call key performance indicators in business, right? And it's as if Forest is kicking them off as they go along. And I'm telling you, for me and Dor and everybody else, the cherries. I saw a really good Forest podcast this week, one of our top ones, and the phrase AFC Bournemouth was immediately followed by the phrase ultimate bogey team.
Yes.
so and actually, I tell you what, from a neutral point of view, I mean, you've got Newcastle Bournemouth this week. That promises to be a fantastic game, and then the Bournemouth Forest game. Really, a lot of people get, it's only little Bournemouth, it's only provincial Nottingham Forest. That has got the potential to be one of the games of the season, honestly.
100%. I just wait, and before I get down, you can't write off Bournemouth. Like I said, I want Bournemouth. I want Forest to beat Bournemouth when we go there.
Iraola is brilliant, mate.
I want Bournemouth to get the top 8. I'm not saying it because Sam's here. These small clubs, and that, and I praise Bournemouth as well. Hopefully, get a striker in this window as well, Sam. Really do.
Hey, Bournemouth, we're going to come to Bournemouth, trust me. But the reason I want to bring Rich in next is because Fab has broken the news about 30 minutes ago that it looks like Palace are going to get this Millwall lad, Rich, who is a baller, by the way. Absolute baller. Another championship player. I don't know if it's S. I ain't got a clue, but he's apparently a baller, and I hear good things. I was listening to the lads on Saturday Social talking about him, and Millwall said he's by far their best player and one of the best in the championship. And when Fabrizio says, "Here we go," those 3 words, everyone gets excited, man. What do you make of this one, Rich?
I won't lie to you. When Fabrizio says anything about Palace, I don't get excited. I'm waiting for all. I'm waiting for all. He's got some stuff wrong. Badly wrong.
Okay.
So, I mean, he obviously mentioned it last week that this was pretty much done. And then there was a hiccup because Bournemouth decided they wanted to stick their noses into this deal, allegedly. So I think that's what's kind of delayed everything regarding contract negotiations and stuff. But really excited. I think Donkey does an amazing job shopping in the championship. Yeah, and we just need, I think what we're lacking in our team is like ball carriers. Like Elise was that, like, I hate harping on about him, but when he got the ball, he's making something happen. And this kid, Romain Esse, looks like, he's not Michael Elise, I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing the two, but that style of player, and I think getting someone in, don't get me wrong, I still think Ismail Assar's been sensational for us, by the way, in our recent form. But he will take the load off Eze because Eze's had too much to do. And trust me, because of that, Eze's been poor, in my personal opinion. He's not been. The last couple of games, he's starting to look like his old self, but prior to that, Eze's not been looking good. So, just hope we get it done. We need a left wing back as well, to be honest. And then we'll see what the second half of the season looks like.
Well, brother, you sent me a really interesting league table from game week 9 onwards, and you're currently sitting in a very comfortable position. So is that fair to say that Glasner has turned it around at Palace, bruv?
Yeah, and I always thought he did. I did say here at the time, I said, we just need to win that first game. And thank you, Tottenham Hotspur. And since then, I think we've got 21 points since that first win. I think we sit 7th in the form table, 2 defeats in like 14 or 15 games. way too many draws, and some of those, like we should have beaten Newcastle, we could have beaten Villa away. You know, there's been points that we could have had more points and stuff. So look, the board didn't back this manager in the summer. That was the biggest problem. Didn't back him properly. And what I mean by that, yes, money was spent, but it was spent at the last of the transfer window. By then, there was about 3 or 4 games played. You know, we're starting to churn out results now. You know, I think it's 6 away games unbeaten. You know, we've got the second most set piece goals up behind Arsenal. You know, things are turning in our favour. Now, granted, I'm a very grounded Palace fan, as you all know, and things can go completely left at any moment. So I'm glad that like no one's really paying attention to us anymore. Because obviously we kind of brought a lot of attention on ourselves the way we finished last season, you know, and obviously this season it's kind of gone a bit quiet. Thank you to Forest and even Bournemouth. But you look at that league table, we're above Man United, who've got Southampton today, granted. I'm expecting them to win that game. We're level on points with Spurs. We're 4 points behind Brighton. Remember, Brighton are this also amazing team, by the way. They've got a game in hand as well, so granted. And I think we're 6 to 8 points behind Bournemouth. I'm not expecting us to get anywhere near Bournemouth, by the way, but look at how the table looks compared to how it did at the start of the season. Blast has worked wonders.
He has worked wonders, man. I mean, I look at the league table, it is kind of nuts, really. I mean, if you would have told me before a ball's kicked that this is what it's going to look like, I would have told you were, as Deji said,
Didn't look amazing, Dave. He looks amazing. Look at where Forest are. Amazing.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, City, Villa. I mean, there's no massive shocks there other than Forest, in my opinion. But then you start to look and think, wow, Bournemouth, Fulham, they're all fairly near it. Brighton aren't a million miles off. You've got Brentford, who I think have been really good at times this season as well.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you got West Ham, who Tottenham fans were laughing at. Now all of a sudden West Ham are ahead of Spurs. You got Palace on the same points as Tottenham, and then United still, by the way, a point behind them. And then there is quite a bit of a drop in the relegation battle.
Yeah, I think the bottom 5 are cut off now, aren't they? I think
that's done now. Like there's going to be 3 of those in it, so that's all done. Would love to say Man United and Spurs are in a relegation fight, but I don't think they are. So that's where we're at. But you're right, Rich. You look at where you are now in the 14th. You know, you're a win away from jumping up there to 12th. Then you're another win away to get into 9th. I know obviously teams ahead of you have then got to drop points, which I get, but you're still looking in a relatively healthy position in comparison to where you were not long ago. And, you know, D was getting quite a lot of stick in This Is London for the start that you had. And to be fair, justifiably so, because it weren't great, right? But I think Palace have still got a good side. And one thing I always said about Palace is their recruitment is decent from the Championship.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to go and get an Eze, Elise, or Wharton. Now they're looking at I don't know, is it called Esse? Is it his name? Esse. So for me, I think we're in a position where you can say that Palace are going to be, and you know what? Fair play, because they could have pulled the plug on Glasner. They could have got scared. They could have gone, oh no, we're looking towards really, and then gone and got somebody else. So he's stuck with it. Mateta's still scoring goals. He knows what the goal is. Eze hopefully will start to get a bit better, because I don't think he's had the best of seasons. I really like your right back. I can never say his name, but I really like him. Munoz. I don't know. Munoz.
I like him as well. I like him.
He's a very, very Daniel Munoz. I just think everything Palace do, he seems to be involved. It's good. Yeah. I just like him. I think he's a good player.
The interesting thing is, and apologies, Sam, it's 10 points, so you've got a good cushion with us, by the way. But the thing is, we've got West Ham away this weekend, Brentford at home, Manchester United away, Everton at home, and I think Fulham might be in that as well. In that run. It's not the worst running, you know. It is not the worst running. So if we can get maybe 3 out of the 4 wins, hey, you never know.
Listen, as they said earlier, you take one game at a time and see how it goes. But I think
no way, Rich.
just quickly, Rich, before we move to Sam, is there anything on the horizon other than him? Because I know Gare, he looks like he's staying now, I guess. Is there anyone else in the horizon you might bring in or sell?
We hope Mark Gay stays, because Chelsea are just absolute bastards, aren't they?
It's true though.
It's true though. It's true.
So annoyed at this Trevor Challenger situation, by the way. And they could actually be disrespectful and put a bid in for Mark. I mean, look, once it gets to the summer, Mark's going to be the last year of his contract, and we've already accepted the summer fingers crossed. He's gone. Same with potentially Eze as well. So, but like I said, knowing Chelsea, the way they conducted themselves with Trevor Chalobah, who, by the way, they alienated, said they don't need him, gave his number to João Felix, and apparently his number has significance because he had to do something with his mum or his grandma. And they said, "Oh, you know what? We need you back, by the way." The guy was enjoying his football. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully a left wing back because Tariq Mitchell needs a rest. Like he plays almost every minute of football.
What's happening with him, Rich? Because he's out of contract, ain't he?
No, fake news.
Oh, he's not. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it Gearhey? Is it Gearhey that's out of contract?
End of next season.
Okay.
The only ones I think this season would be Schlupp and Will Hughes, but they're already talking about renewing his contract.
Will Hughes has been really good, man. I can't lie.
He's been brilliant.
He's been really good. Like, I don't even.
I hate. You know what? Everyone knows I feel about Will Hughes, but he's like our Ryan Yates in there. He's one of them players you love to hate him, but he's doing good for Palace, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Managers love him.
Yeah.
Managers, there are certain players at certain clubs. We all five of us have seen them where people in the stand go, "Why did you keep picking this guy?" The classic for us at Forest was McGovern back in the great days. So many fans, what does this guy do? But Brian Clough saw something, and Oliver Glasner sees something in Will Hughes, like Nuno sees something in Ryan Yates. You know what I mean? So Will's got himself a good career, and I kind of look, he gets some stick and all that, but fair play to the ones.
Yeah, fair play, Will. Even if I do hate you, but yes, fair play.
Nah, fair play, man. Listen, Sam, gotta say, bruv, considering there's a few injuries, he's a bloody good manager, Iriola, man. And there's a lot of teams that want him. There's a lot of teams after him. I speak to a lot of fans, that are all everybody. Who would you up, Iriola? And you think, hang on, I'm not finished the question yet. Like, does that annoy you? Does that annoy you as a Bournemouth fan, or are you quite? Do you see it as a compliment, or what? Where are you at with that kind of? Because I think it should be a compliment to him. I think he's been phenomenal. And with the injuries you've had, I know you have Nilsson, you've got others as well. Like, I don't seem to look at Bournemouth and I don't seem to notice that you've got lots of injuries. That must be doing something right, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't annoy me. It's it's nice to be respected, and all fans want is for their teams to be respected, their players to be respected. And by the way, I like the fact the media are now respecting Nottingham Forest, because, like Dave said, to be going into a game against Liverpool on an even footing, I'm jealous of that, and I admire that, and I'm glad the media are painting that picture as well now, rather than it having a sort of after the Lord Mayor show vibe or the Galacticos coming into town. Because being an AFC Bournemouth fan, we're used to that 24/7. There are so many times where we've been completely overlooked by the media, and that in some ways it's fine because we fly under the radar, but in other ways it just annoys us. Professional commentators getting the names of our players wrong. They even do a video at the start of the season. Each player says their name really slowly, and you've still got commentators saying players' names wrong, which is mad for professionals. Even on the TNT coverage on Tuesday against Chelsea, saying stuff that's factually incorrect about what players have got, what injuries. Our backup striker Unal apparently has got an injury with his foot. No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
It's an ACL. It is just madness. And then on the way back, you listen to Talk Sport, and it's littered with Chelsea fans who are moaning. Of course, they can't even give us the slightest acknowledgement of even mentioning our name during it as well. So
that's it, Sam.
For once, we're actually at the stage where people are sort of standing up and noticing us. But it's because they want players that we've got. It's because they want Iriola, they want Semenyo, they want Kirkes, they want Zabani. They want Justin Clive.
I love it. I love that left back, Sam. I love him, man.
It's
he's unreal, man. Kirkes, I'd take him.
I love him, man.
But it is little old Bournemouth until players want to, excuse the pun, cherry pick our players. It's like madness. And I don't know. It's this season, I think it keeps the joy alive, for football, not even from a Bournemouth perspective. Seeing what Nottingham Forest do. Look, us three with Fulham, who Emilio's not here, but 2 years ago we got promoted, all in the top 10. I mean, we're so incredible with that. But I just think we've got the same mentality as Nottingham Forest have got in terms of no complacency. You know, he's got everyone fighting. Everyone's been galvanised. No one's really talking about our injury crisis, which is the biggest compliment I can pay to Iraola. Chelsea's bench on Tuesday, 250 mil. Ours was 10 mil. And once we brought Cliver on, 1 mil. Everyone else on the bench was kids. So it is incredible, really, to sort of see where we're going and see where we could go. We're proper bare bones at the moment. We really are, and we need to get players in. But as long as we've got 11 fairly fit players, we know that Iraola will get a tune out of them. We're playing a guy up front, probably at St James's Park on Saturday, in Daniel Jefferson, who went on loan to Watford. Their fans said he was shit. Sheffield United fans don't rate him at all. I chatted to Nick from Sheffield United Way. He was like, nah, like, how's he going to do it for you? But he can get players that are fairly average playing and being proper ballers. Like Ryan Christie used to play on the wing. He was all right for us. But now in the number 6, or sometimes he plays in a number 10 position, he's absolutely superb. So, and like now I look at the fixture list and I don't have any emotion now when I see all the teams, because we've had these kind of like winnable games against Brentford away, or maybe Brighton
Everton
at home,
or whatever.
even.
Yeah.
Or and you just, it's like it doesn't matter, because we might even lose those, which we have done. But then like play Man City. Oh no, we play Man City. That's a hard fixture. We go and beat them. We go and beat Arsenal. We go and beat Spurs. We beat Man United 3-0 away. It doesn't matter. So in many ways, the fixtures are sort of irrelevant. It's all about how we are internally, mentally, and physically, and if we've got a good squad. Because we've got a very modular system at Bournemouth. Players can just plug into a position. They know their job. He's got a strict structure of how he wants to play it, but it comes across as organised chaos. And it's exciting to watch, and it works at the moment. So I'm really pleased with how things are going.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why, mate. Trust me, it's quite incredible, to be fair, at the moment. And fair play, because I'm looking at how things are, and it's it really is quite impressive. Look, lads, Locks couldn't make it tonight, but I had a message.
God bless him.
I know. It's such
Try
a
him
shame.
a rib or Locks. I'm not going to say anything about Locks because he's not here. He can't defend himself. But
He has asked me to send a message. Well, he texted me and said, "Yep, sounds good." Then he said, "I'm going to be live on a show. Meltdowns are happening left, right, and centre. Please pass this message on to Joe, who's not here tonight, or to Dor if they're on the show tonight. F off." That's what his message is.
Love you too, Locks. I love you too.
That is the message.
I've been nice to him recently because is it 6 in the trot they've lost? I've been nice to him. I've not said a word. It's Joe, not me. I'm just when Joe tags me, I reply to him. So Locks, if you're watching, fuck you too. So
just talk. Hey, no, talking about Leicester and bringing it back to sort of Michel and Emilio. The point was raised somewhere recently, and it might have been on one of these shows, but that promotion class of that year, Fulham top, Bournemouth, I think second, and us through the playoffs, might be the last. The way things are going, or the way it seems to be trending, and the theme that's emerging, that might be the last great promotion class, because I watched I've watched the Championship. I love watching football, whoever it is. But I've watched the Championship, and while I agree with Joe that Leeds are the biggest club and the best squad in that division, probably just ahead of Sheffield United, I don't see any of the teams in that division coming up and making the impact that eventually, if you like, certainly eventually with us, but more immediately with Bournemouth and Fulham, coming into the Premier League and establishing a foothold and then progressing from it, right? I don't see, if Leeds come up, they're going to struggle. And, if you like, Southampton are kind of showing that. Leicester, after a decent-ish run, are now dropped off the cliff a bit. It's such a battling hard, but I just fear for them that they're going to be the feel-good failure like Luton were last year. And it might get to the point soon where I look at us, and I think the same goes for Sam, the same goes for Emilio, that I'm glad we came up when we did. And there might be, an established group of, if you like, 16 teams in the Premier League, I include Palace in this, who are going to be there pretty much come what may, and the ones coming up, are likely to be the ones going back down again. And you might have this little sort of hinterland between the Premier League and the Championship. So the way I look at us, what we're doing this year is putting all the Europe stuff aside. Forest are building a foundation upon which they can be an established regular Premier League side, like Palace have done for so long. It's an amazing story, Palace. Bournemouth have done it. Brighton have done it. Villa did it after a little blip. So, that year, that promotion year, is turning out to be they talk about drafts in NFL. It was a great quarterback year. Where that Bournemouth Forest thing is being shown to be really, really good. In hindsight, makes it better, I think.
Fair play. Look, Rich, I know you got to shoot, my bro, to go do your preview, so you go do that, man. Make sure you're following Rich on Eagle-Eyed Football People. Mate, if any
Eagle-Eyed.
No, okay, don't do that.
Rich in the voice, love it.
Love Rich.
I appreciate it.
That's how Rich.
Thanks for beating Spurs. We're level points with them. Get in.
Come on, man. We've always got you when it comes to Tottenham, man. Let me tell you that.
Take care.
Big up,
Take
Rich.
care, Rich. Love,
Big up,
bro.
Rich.
Listen, let's do some predictions before we come to a close. You might as well start with you, Sam. You this weekend have got Newcastle, I believe. Is that right? At St James's Park? Yeah. Tough
Nice
game,
early
man.
one.
They're on absolute fire, bruv. They are on fire. Isak.
Really good team.
Man, I hate the fact we haven't got Isak. What are you saying, bro?
They are 9 wins in a row. We're 10 unbeaten. I don't know, man. Anything could happen. I think we can scrape a draw. I'll be well happy with a draw. Realistically, I think they'll probably get the points. Let's follow my heart. 1-1 I'm going for.
1-1. Yeah, look, I actually did have Newcastle in the top 4, and everyone absolutely rinsed me for it and said there's no chance, Dan. And I thought,
gonna be right now.
I would agree with you if they're got Champions League because they haven't got the squad, but they don't have any European football. They got 1 game a week. Anyway, they didn't start very well, and I got put in the mud. And Don was telling me every week. Now all of a sudden, Don, Newcastle are ahead of you. So what's happening now? That's all I will say about it. But yeah, no, look, I actually think Newcastle might beat you here, Sam, because I just think they're on fire at the moment. And at St James's Park, they're horrible to play against, mate. It's a very hard place to go, I think. Well, it is for us. They're our bloody bogey side. We got to go there, and we're already 2-0 down. I'm going to have to be sedated through that one. So that's not going to be fun. But we'll see. Dor, Southampton, you mentioned it, mate. I'll ask both of you. Start with you, Dor. What are you saying? You must win this one. Surely they're one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
Come on.
When we went to Southampton, we beat 1-0. And the thing with Southampton, they love loads of the ball, but I've not seen them play. And it's going to
do nothing with it.
They do nothing with it. And
exactly.
Is it okay to say we can beat them 4-5-0? I don't know. I'll say 3-0. Comfortable. Southampton, they're not going to come sit around and make us score loads of goals and that. But listen, I've got to go for it. Back my team. Chris was on fire. Our defence not conceding much goals. I've got to say easy win in this time. I'll say 3-0 Forest.
I'm gonna totally agree with the scoreline and everything you've said. You've got to respect Southampton, but at the same time you've got to be realistic because they're not a good exactly. Well, yeah, you're not gonna. But I look at it and I think there's definitely a win happening here. Dave, you agree with that? 3-0.
I think Forest do win the match, but I always think sometimes that I fear this sort of after the Lord Mayor's shown. Like Tuesday night was such a huge occasion. You sometimes kind of think like, don't take your eye off it. But Nuno said it straight after the match. He said everything I wanted to hear from our manager. Our kind of like, he's the leader. He's setting the tempo. He's creating the ethos and the atmosphere. And immediately he said Southampton. Woody was then interviewed. He immediately said Southampton. They're on that same sheet. They will not take Southampton lightly. I think Forest win. I don't think it'd be as easy as a lot of people say. I think it'd be 2-0 Forest. I think it might be quite a similar game with the first string as it was with the second string against Luton, where actually, and I've got to give a couple of shout outs around this subject. I saw Dave Gregory before the Luton game. What absolute gentleman. One of the great men. Dave is one of the great YouTube broadcasters. all class, absolutely brilliant. Had a great hour and a half in his company. And his team, despite being beaten, gave him a good show. Luton played some good football. They were allowed to have lots of the ball by the team that really... I think Forest are trying to evolve to a point where the football itself doesn't actually go on the pitch. And they're just like, without the ball, right? So I think it might be a bit like that. And I think Southampton, if Juric's got his wits about him, he's going to say, lads, it's a free hit, and free hits are often kind of, aids to relaxation. But I just think the way we are, I think based on all the evidence at this point, we should have too much for him. Yeah. The only thing is, if we beat Southampton and keep them on 6 points, there's a sort of still a 5-point gap to Derby's awful record, which all the Forest fans are kind of confident.
I need Southampton to get 2 wins. 2 wins. Yeah. That's what we need.
If Southampton can start winning somewhere else, that'd be great. But I maybe me, I always expect a tough game all the time. It's just the Premier League when all's said and done. And while Saints' position isn't great, I'm sure they'll give it a go. And the other shout out, I've been mentioning Dave Gregg. I want to give a shout out to Liam Whitehorn. Fabulous. I've been in touch with Liam this week. He's coming up to the game, I think. And just want to wish him all the best. What an absolute gentleman Liam is, mate. You know what I mean? So 2-0 Forest, I think.
Yeah, man. We'll see. We've got Villa. Unai Emery is coming back.
Wow.
And I must say, I do think that we are starting to play the football that I've wanted to see for a long time, which is the free-flowing stuff. Our front line is just a disgrace, if I'm honest. We ain't getting anywhere near enough quality, man. Like, it's just Erdegaard's doing well until the final third. You've got Havertz missing everything that he touches. Trossard's finally got one because the keeper let it go through his hands. You've got Martinelli who doesn't want to shoot. You got Sterling who just wants to run around in circles. I'm just lost with it all. Really.
Dan, can I say something? Just come on, man. I know you would. That was all against Spurs. It could have been 5 or 6-0 against them.
Easy, should have been.
But I need you lot to cut like with ourselves. I need you lot to catch up Liverpool. I don't want them to win the league. You lot just book all your ideas, just because
let me tell you this: if you don't win the league, I obviously want it to. Well, I want us to win the league, and I'm sure you, if you don't win us. And if it ain't us, I want it to be you. I want it to be you. If we can't win the league, I would love it. I would love nothing more than Forest to win it. I will do a clip saying I thought these were going down and they've just gone and won the league.
my dear Daniel, I might be sort of long in the tooth and knocking on, and the faculties might not be what they once were, but I haven't forgotten our first show of the season when I actually thanked you for that wonderful prediction, mate. You know what I mean? So,
unbelievable.
I'll probably sort of Facebook state your mum and dad just say, do you remember what your lad said back in August?
I couldn't believe what I was.
Listen, Dave, we've got our guns ready. We're going to clip him up. Don't worry about it.
I think you should, and I will do it myself. If you
win the league, Dan, you think because me and Dan, me and Dave have been really nice to you. Listen, on the 12th man, I'm going to clip him up if Forest
do the unthinkable. Exactly. Mate, even if you get top 4, you can clip me up. Do you know what I mean?
No, listen, Dan, if we get top 8, I'll still clip you up. I don't care.
Yeah, I know you will.
I mean, like I say, in all seriousness with us, and actually the same applies to Sam, both Forest and Bournemouth, probably more than any other team, at the end of the season, I'm pretty certain now, I mean, there's still 17 games to go, so it's a lot of football that still needs to be played. And, there are ups and downs and twists and turns, but I think certainly Forest and Bournemouth at the end of the season will say, hey, what fantastic progress from last season. I think they're the 2 teams guaranteed that progress from last season. Newcastle are getting there, but for a smaller club, definitely Bournemouth and Forest. I mean, I said to somebody the other night, we're the one team at the moment absolutely guaranteed a successful season because whatever we do will be way better than we've done either last season or the 25 that came before, So, yeah.
No, it will be 100%, man. Listen, last super chat before we close comes from Lawrence. Says, Dan, have you seen the video I've sent you of the Arsenal fan with contacts inside the club who's told him that Ben Chilwell is coming in on loan to the Emirates? That's got to be nonsense. That's got to be absolutely.
How many left backs do you need? You got about 10 left backs.
We don't need another left back. My goodness, we got so many. I'd have Zinchenko over him. He is absolutely dreadful, Ben Chilwell. I've not been a fan of him. Anyway, big up to you, Lawrence. I haven't, but I will watch it, mate. Dor, shout your stuff out, mate. What you got coming up?
Got a video tomorrow with a Southampton fan. That'll be tomorrow at 9 o'clock. All content for loads of transfer gossip as well. But I think Forrest's been linked with what's his name, Brentford player.
You're on Vista.
Fizzer, yeah. So Forest Night's been linked with him. I've been talking about him as well. And yeah, loads of content coming my way. So make sure you subscribe and subscribe to Dan as well, people. Hurry up. Do it now.
Come on, people. Click the like and subscribe. As Sue just said, leaving this here to say hit like and subscribe. Make sure you do that, please, people. Make sure you do that with Tour on Tour as well. We're on our way to 40K now. It's unbelievable stuff. Sam, what you got coming up, brother?
Just the usual stuff. Previews out and flying up to Edinburgh tomorrow night from Bournemouth and then train down to Newcastle. So it's a bit of a weird way to do it, but it's it was nice. So yeah, dedication to the cause and all that. So just the usual.
That is cruel, isn't it? Why would they put Bournemouth and Newcastle at 12:30?
They did it for the reverse fixture as well. Longest fixture in the Premier League, sticking it at 12:30. So I was asked to go on to TNT.
They honestly do not give a toss about the fans. These people,
that's
don't they?
as bad as Tamworth not getting a replay.
That is, man. That is. Listen, big up, people. Make sure you do me a favor. Go spam.
I've got no content, by the way.
Watch along. So
I'm in content.
Yo, people go. Wait, did you say Saeed? Make sure everyone says Saeed that Liverpool. I don't want Liverpool to win the league from door. That's going to say.
There you go. I don't want Liverpool to win the league from door. Make sure you go spam. 12th man sent me. Dan Potts sent me. Make sure you go do that. Show Saeed some love. And yeah, we'll see you next time, people. Take it easy. We're out of here.
You ready?